Ooh. Yep, let's go. So we did write some tests for init command this morning. I'm looking to make a couple of assertions more before we proceed. Init. Oh, I need to install cargo what? Again, cargo install. Cause I pretty much nuked everything earlier today. But anyway, this is what I'm trying to do. Assert for the text content. So pretty much when we read the migration files, this is the path. Um, there's something else we could actually do. What do we have access to? Migration content. I mean, migration, GitHub. we could also pass in TP migrations to this. Yeah. Then we could assert that, for example, let's say we'll have to make that function async, but we don't have to since we're passing the migration directly. Anyway, if we have all the migrations from the database, what we could do is let's say data migration. I'm contemplating if we should do that. Yep. I mean, we could also just search it from here. I should not be in descending order. What are we trying to assert? Say we're looping through where were we? Okay, we're looping through. the idea about this information timestamp base name, and these are from the file, the local file, migration file. We can compare with what we have from the database. So say db migration, yeah, basically that. We find the database from db makes hi Shaifon Ganteng. Did I get it right? How are you doing today? Thanks for joining the stream. Where are you chatting from? Hope I did justice to your name. So I probably should. Let's think, but I probably should implement serialize for this and call it migration file name rather than using this lazy approach. But this is the full name, and we might as well just do file name parsed to string. That's suboptimal, but that's what we gotta do. Why is my Excel package too slow? Please make my signal smooth for watching YouTube live streaming. Why is my Excel package too slow? Please make my signal smooth for... I'm not sure I understand what you mean. Do you find the stream slow from your side? Are there some things you can suggest to fix it? I turn on the room light. No, it's actually quite sunny today. Isn't it nicer when I have the lights off? That could be my signature, just having the lights off, so I look like the Undertaker. Then I'll play the sound, you know, boom, boom. I need to find that sound and maybe play the sound right now live on stream. That would actually be a good signature. Well, I might need copyright. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. No, let's clone this first. Let's play the Undertaker song. Let's play it. Undertaker theme song. Let's turn off this boring live stream song. I'm about to play the sound. Let's go. I might get copyrighted for this. Maybe my channel will get stricken. This will be my new entry sound henceforward. The Cobra. This is the sound I'll use for my channel intro. I might need to go to see the Undertaker in the US and beg him to give me the copyright access to this song. Okay, I have to stop it now before I get copyright strike for it. Turn that off. Let's go back to normal. Let's go back to normal. Yep. How you guys doing today? Yes, so basically we're taking the database name, converting it to migration file, comparing, and yep. So this is whatever migration we found. I mean, that alone itself is an assertion because we're able to find it, and basically we can just assert that we can basically assert that these are equal. Well, this is redundant because that's basically what we're doing here, but it doesn't hurt to do it again. Yeah, probably is fine. Then we can check the timestamp, compare that with timestamp, and maybe these are not really that necessary. Let's just run this first. Cargo watch. Do you prefer when I live stream in the dark, or do you prefer when my room is lit? I just like feeling comfortable when I'm streaming, and that's probably when it's dark. So next up okay, I kind of wrote some tests for generate previously. Not bad. I could actually do similar here, like probably be checking information for database. Yeah, also do info for DB. That's something I could add to the other side. Let's call this generate old, and let's rename this to just generate. Let's generate old. I think it would be nice to do something like this. This checks the fields that are present. Okay. Cool. But I'll add that later on. Let's go with this first. So we have a couple of tests failing. But now my new Vim is frozen because I just did a basic renaming of file. That's incredible. It's unbelievable. Literally frozen. I might have to turn on the air conditioning temporarily just to cool down my computer. It's frustrating. Let's give it a second for it to come back. Okay, so you're ready. How's it command for install? Okay, it's called cargo. Perfect. That's weird. Why is it deleting the checksum down? Creating it. That's interesting. We need 57. Would have been a different thing if it's been removed and added elsewhere. Then yep. Why is it moving and adding that? Migration not found. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna do debug and also just to confirm that. Okay, let's see. So name test migration. Timestamp. Yeah, that is true. Because we are going through all the files, and remember we're only storing the up migrations in the database. So I guess one way to get around that is to just do this to up. So let's do. So we run this again. 954. Oh yeah, it's gonna give us db then to better to just rename this to file name and do to string. So let's try that again. Oh, that would be naive solution because yeah, this can be unidirectional sometimes. So so what are we trying to actually achieve? Let's write it out so it's easier for us to reason about. We want to test that migration file metadata is the DB. That's really the main thing, the bottom line of what we're trying to achieve. Let's mute this. I need to drink some water. I'm gonna add it from my equals large cup. Because you have to recycle. So that's essentially what we're trying to do. And sometimes we're gonna have like migration file name like timestamp, the base name, and it's gonna be them. So sometimes we're gonna have this or that, or actually no. Yep. So we can have either of these three, right? So we just want to check that for every file, the metadata can be found in the database. So really one way to do that is we can do a match around for sure we can do for the extension. I'm actually thinking about it now. Perhaps the extension should be an enum, but what we could do is my language server doesn't work anymore, and that makes me sad. Up let's just put a to do here. Migration. Let's put another to do. And yeah, it's gonna be unidirectional. Let's put it to do there. So I can call this great. Then we can start to make the assertion. The metadata, we want to check things like e.g. the name, timestamp, pass checksum. So when we're up, basically, we can run like a select from migration where name equals up. Then from the returned result, we can check the name, timestamp, and checksum. When it's down, well, we can do down to up since we're only starting and yeah, we just uni. Yep. So how do we do that? Select, we can make it a method of migration itself. Well, name. Phoenix, how are you doing today? Where are you chatting from? Thanks for joining us in the stream today. So we can say name equals, let's pass in the takes that and yep, we can take that as string. To compare that, I'll contemplate on actually making name into proper location people here. So search by the file name. We don't need our drain, and it should return 1. Yep. So actually, let's just return an option here. Yeah, we don't need the timestamp. Yep. So in that case, we're gonna go back. I think it's better to do it with the approach. So yeah, we're gonna go to the first. We're gonna do let mig equals migration. Thank you. You already did it. We might need this also, but then it's gonna have to be an async function. Yeah, but probably better than passing in all these and doing a search. I mean, we can always do the find also, but maybe we can try that first. Like, since we already have the implementation for it, I'm just gonna bring what we have here on 23 to 13, put it up a little bit, and turn this into a closure. Pass in the file name. So whatever name we find here. Since this is up and up is what is really stored in the DB, so that should be right about this. Great. So in this case, the file name would be down, right? So we want the file name be file name this case is gonna be the same anyway. Yep. So this is one approach. We can just on the application layer search through it since we already have all the migration file, or we can call the function database for every iteration to fetch that. But my friend sleepy. Migration not found in DB. Yeah. It's good to me. Equal. So what does it still say? Migration not found. Trying to sleep here. What am I missing there? Okay. Yep, so we get all the migration files. By this file name, we should be able to find something. We do 2 up, we should be able to find something. And if it's in it directional, oh, that won't be the case when we are not running the migrations against the database. This will only happen when we're running the migration against the database, so we need to also take that into account. And because sometimes this is actually going to be empty. This is going to be empty. But how can we deduce that? So we can say if db migration is not empty, okay, looks a little bit better. So I will do a cognitive review here. Very sleepy. Okay, the ordering is sporadic. It's usually tricky to use cargo install within a loop, so we need to probably rethink that. Maybe we won't be looping because it's hard to put in a loop. It just messes things up. Let's take it out of the loop and but then it's gonna be hard for us to get the file name. So I guess what we could do instead is walk back from the migration metadata in the database and search if the file equivalent exists. I'm trying to turn on the air condition. It's getting hot. It's quite hot here. Where's the remote? Okay. Otherwise, it's gonna get tricky to deal with. You know what we're gonna do actually first? Let's ignore the snapshot because it's actually happening. Is it happening outside? Let's just test the other stuff. Let's ignore the snapshot. Yes, you are. Yeah, so actually everything does pass, as you can see. But the snapshot is tricky because then uh, it's having issues with the order. Because I'm not quite sure this ordering is deterministic. You haven't seen Sublime, haha. But this isn't Sublime though. Andrew Thompson. .f. This is Neovim. Yeah, I haven't seen Sublime. Maybe the last time I saw Sublime was probably 2017, maybe. How are you doing today? Where are you chatting from? So I'm not sure this ordering is deterministic, so that's one thing we could take care of first for sure. And what can we call ordered? No, that's not doing anything. I don't like ordered migration files. We do migration files. Can we search that by you gotta beat my drums too. Yeah, the sunshine to my let me be the one you run through the darkness. I'll be your light. So would you be my angel? We might not be able to mutate that actually, so I will be your man. Together we can make it. You take my effort. You my dying day. I need you. Isn't that? Yep, it takes a mutable reference and it returns not okay, it returns the ordering to my dying day. I need you. Yeah, I knew that. We could see it, but that's not necessary. We can just like clone or like do this is what I need. New Vim plugin VS Code will change your life. In VS Code will change your life. From Florida. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've actually tried the New Vim plugin in VS Code, but I just I think I maybe need to try a bit harder. Because there's just this thing about using New Vim fully. the experience. When I want to search, it's very easy for me. I can use like telescope, or I can use like spectra. I can do a lot of stuff easily. I'm sure I can do it in VS Code, and VS Code actually has quite like really good search functionality. But we'll see. I might still give it a shot. I tried like last week, and it was tough. But I truly understand. This is what I mean. But I truly understand. Okay, that's this is what I need. How is Florida today? Is it hot? I should probably take a trip to Florida and go explore. Explorer. How long have you been working with Rust, if you have? And what got you interested in Rust? Let's see if this changes. The ordering changes that. Yeah, it's usually like tricky to use. It's usually tricky to use Insta snapshot within a loop. So perhaps it's not a good idea. But for sure, I'm just trying to think what would be a good way to get around that. I think it would be nice to actually test the content. Oh, 75 degree. It's quite hot here today. Wow, it's quite. I mean, that's really hot. It's really hot. It's cool, yeah, but it's not. I guess. Well, let me check the weather today. It's -1 now, but it's very sunny today, as you can see. I don't have any lights on, but still, it's still late. Actually, I would like to visit Florida next year. Um, but I'm in the West Coast next month actually. Probably there for about a week or two. I might also be in the East Coast. But I was on the East Coast about 4 months ago, thereabouts. I was in Maryland. I was in Pittsburgh. I was in Washington D.C., Baltimore, Chicago, New York. I'm looking to do another trip down there. So these 43, yeah, it's on the same line. Then it's unable to disambiguate that. Actually interviewed with software group called Automate Software. Actually, um, I actually interviewed with software group called Automate Software in Florida, and the devs were absolutely obsessed with it. I've been interested to integrate into my course. Are you talking about Vim now, new Vim, or you're talking about VS Code? Yeah, 2024 is gonna be an awesome year. I'm actually very excited about next year. Yeah, it looks like we just hit 400 subscribers. Thanks, guys, for subscribing. I appreciate you all for joining my lone, not lone anymore, my stream, my dark stream. It's always dark in here, but today we made it a little bit late. But it's nice to enjoy the darkness, because the darkness lets you appreciate the light. Oh yeah, Rust is going to be fantastic next year. The future is bright. I've kind of been like just taking the back seat all this while, but I felt like the best way to predict the future is to build it yourself, or at least participate in building it. And that's why I'm doing all these projects. I want to build the ecosystem. I want to build a community. I want to build like tools that will make people's lives a lot easier. And we're just getting started. I have a lot. We're going to build the best ORM in any language ever built. We're going to build the best tools. I'm excited. And with the community, we're also going to be building some learning community for like Rust. Of course, we're going to be doing other languages, but especially Rust, sharing our learnings. And I'll be creating tutorials, creating more tools, and just helping other people also get started. And I'm really, really excited about that prospect next year, in the coming years. Yeah, Rust is pretty cool. Yeah, the first time I learned about Rust was um, with a friend. I was talking about Rust. It was so into Rust, and I was like, "Oh, I think it said it wanted to learn Rust. That was one of its goals, to learn Rust." But I never paid attention. I was just doing my Python, Java, Ruby, JavaScript, TypeScript stuff. And how I got back into Rust was I wanted to start a project. So I've always had these ideas that I just put in my drive, and I wanted to start building them out. But I was running into this limitation with TypeScript, JavaScript. It's single threaded, right? Good for IO, but you can't really do proper number like crunching with it, like CPU intensive stuff. So I was always like, oh, I wanted a language, like one language to rule them all, kind of like vibe. A language that, of course, might not have as much as big of a community, but at least will give me the confidence that even if I have to implement some complex stuff, I would be able to. Then I started looking into C and Golang, but then C you have to manage the memory yourself with C and C++, and with Golang there's garbage collection. But I started working with the two, but despite the limitation, then I found the blog post, I think from Discord. I found that from also Figma about Rust and blah blah blah. That was when I went back to diving deeper, looking. I was reading books, solving stuff, doing different stuff. And after I finished that, it was time to start building. But there were a lot of things that I really liked, I really wanted, but I didn't like the existing tools. One of them was a GraphQL tool, then it was Juniper. But then a sync GraphQL came in, and I was very happy. Like it felt as though if I would build a sync GraphQL myself, most of the API decisions I wouldn't disagree with them. So I like that. But the database story, I was expecting it to change. Like There is Arbatis, there's SurrealORM, there is TQL, there are a bunch of them, right? But they always have some kind of like limitation. CRM, I really like the fact that it's feature complete, it's feature rich. But when I started working with it, the API is very unintuitive for me. At least was unintuitive for me. It felt like very complex to work with, and they were using a lot of colon, you know. And for me, one of my philosophies that developed along the line was when I'm writing my query, I should be able to directly like translate it to the raw query. If I show you an example here, let's see. So for example, even this, like something as this is relatively fairly complex. You can say this is select all from weapon where strength is inside of this is a subquery which says select value from weapon ordered by strength in ascending order limit 6. Then top level same thing. If you write a query, like let's see the query, if we would put these queries side by side, mentally they transfer or like translate very well across the query builder and the raw string. So you can see this is select or like you can directly map it. There are no like new extra abstraction indirection layer introduced into the syntax, except when it's not necessary. When we can get much benefit from Rust, we can skip some keywords. And I have an example. But if you look at this, I compared with this, they are basically the same. Like if you would read them, they read from left to right the same. Select all from, if you come here, select all from weapon, same thing here, where the subquery strength inside select value. If you come here, where strength inside select value, strength from weapon ordered by strength limit 6, they translate directly, right? Then ordered by strength in descending order starts at 2 limit 2, they translate directly. You don't have this extra mental burden, and you also have a lot more benefit. I can show you something. Query block, I don't know a single ORM where you could write this level of complex query. So with create, you can use this macro called object partial. So with this you can set some fields. You don't have to set all the fields. So this, if you mistype, is gonna error out, right? And with this you can even set, this is basically like a query block being assigned. The result of this block is being assigned to this strength. And despite this being complex, it's very easy to read and write. Once you understand how this works, this is just saying select all strengths. So basically select strength from weapon. And we're using select value because we want to select the value, the strength as an integer, array of integer. If we don't use the select value, if we just say select, it's gonna select the entire object. Then we sum everything, we find the length of the array, and then we write this complex query, and this is auto undo for you, automatically bound and stuff. And this is just like a tip of the iceberg. Like there's still a lot more. So that's the philosophy. There's query turbo, where you can write very complex like nested if else statements. All these are checked at compile time. Everything is checked at compile time. So I'm just excited, and there's still a lot more that I'm planning in the future for this, especially considering support for other databases. And I hope with all these changes, for me, it's about just driving the innovation forward in the field, in how people think about creating APIs and abstractions, putting the developer in mind first. It's very important that you can write very complex queries while still having it easily understandable. And I could even show you another example, like let's see, relate. You can write, so okay, this is an example. We even have more complex examples here. So imagine you could write a query as complex as this with your ORM, right? So you say you're relating basically students, you're selecting, this is a subquery. Of course, you can always assign all these, so you can call this student, you can call that book, and then you say, if you notice something, one thing it just came to me while I was implementing this, you would notice that there is a dunder, double underscore, on the right side. That's to tell you the direction this goes to. So it's telling you it's arrow to the right, and that is selecting, it's relating all students basically with all books, and you're setting the contents, and you see the query generated here. So you see the arrow is pointed to the right. If it's pointed to the left, you have the dunder on the left. So things like little stuff like that. And not just that, you also have like query query macro, so you can actually write raw query itself. So this is one. These are different examples, and you can even have multiple queries. So if I make a mistake here, it's gonna throw an error at compile time. And not just that, if one of these variables is missing, it's gonna throw an error. So with these, basically, you're free to do whatever you want to do. You can use the query builder approach. You can use the ORM approach. You can write raw query. And there's also the query turbo, which is a concept that I think I might have invented that I've not seen anywhere either. So this is not a strictly a raw query, but it allows you to write almost Rust-like functions and procedures, but using the query builder. So the query builder is another syntax, basically an abstraction built on top of the query. But this allows you're able to write nested if-else statement. You're able to combine if-else statement with for loop, have another if statement within the for loop, and you're having the query builder. All these are checked at compile time. It looks like a normal Rust code, but it really isn't the normal Rust code. You're able to assign variables, and look at this also. You're able to set ranges just using the inclusive, exclusive. You can do this. All these are checked at compile time. This is invalid, so it's gonna complain, right? So you're able to do one other stuff you're able to do. I should do a proper demo. Let's say you return a variable. If we go to balance here, right? So this should return balance. This is not this is a let statement. Like, it's different from having this. Right here, it returns a create statement, right? But how are you able to traverse the tree from the results? You use this with path, and you pass in the type with it. E means empty. So even if you have an array, you can also filter this. You can pass index. You can say you want the third item. That's the third index. You can use a where clause or condition function and pass in the condition. You can do crazy stuff. And with this, you can just keep traversing. So if you pass in this wrong field here, it's gonna throw an error. So you're able to traverse the tree no matter how deep it is, and you can filter along those paths. Let's remove that. Let's just make it empty. Yep. Anyway, I digressed. I was getting too excited. We need to figure out the Insta snapshot. We can maybe come back to it. Something else we could do. We'll come back to this. to do make snapshot test deterministic. Yep. So with that, I can do new method creation method. Editor by file name, then make and test more cases in init command. Query Turbo reminds me of JS promises in which you can experiment on expected output, but without errors. Yeah, that's kind of the gist. So basically, you're able to check for all these things at compile time, like statically. You don't even need to run your program to know that you're having or you're gonna have an error in it. So for me, that's one of the most exciting part of this whole stuff, and I really can't wait to share this, because most of these ideas can actually be applied regardless of the language or the database engine you're supporting. So they are just like ideas. So 76. Yep. Test. I have to restart my ID. Okay. This snapshot coach. And the plan is to support. So I'm starting with SurrealDB engine, because this has been sort of like an experiment for me. That has been going on for a year. I started last December, I believe, and I've been working on it like almost basically every day, and it's been more like an experiment for me. So I thought like it would be better to focus on an engine first, while I think out the API, and I think most of the things, most of my philosophies are thought out to a large extent now, that I feel very confident to support new database engines, and I have a clear pathway to supporting like SQL databases like Postgres, MySQL, SQLite, and any reasonable one, and even other data graph database, or even like things like MongoDB. I actually did a mini ORM for MongoDB last summer, but I never open source that. I probably should. So let's do maybe for generate now. We can just paste that because most of this code will be reused. And once we see the reuse on this part, we can then maybe share the code. We can put it in a library somewhere there, up there. So with testing generate. Let's take this out first. Comment that out. I can check with Insta on how to, because I think it should be possible to glob all the files within a directory and just take a snapshot. That'll be cool. Let's disable inlint and Please let me know what you think about what I'm building. Trash or is it worth it? Would you use it? What are your opinions? What do you think I should add, change, or remove? So if we look at test init, we can change that to test generate. So initially it's gonna be 0, and we're gonna try to generate. So I'll call this CLI init, because you need to initialize before you generate. So we're gonna try to generate before we initialize, and we're gonna test that no file would be created, because the idea is, and I like this change that I made. So previously, anytime you generate, you would have to specify the reversible flag. So reversible means that there would be up and down migration, right? If you set it as false, which means you don't include the flag, then it's gonna be just a single file. It means up only. But with this change, all you just need to do is initialize, and the only time you need to ever specify if it's reversible or not is when you're initializing. So you say cargo init, and you specify the flag reversible or R, like -R. And after you've done that, anytime you want to run cargo generate, you don't have to specify the flag anymore. It automatically detects that you're using a reversible or non-reversible migration type. So that's why we're not gonna need that anymore. And reachable, let's see. So name db init. Yep. Yeah, we need to also specify this as default, so that type builder can skip that. Removing it, go back here. Yep. So generate, let's call that generate cmd. Config, and this would be CLI gen. Let's call that, and this generate. So the first test we're gonna do is to test that if you run generate, I think it makes sense to move this higher a little bit. Maybe we can move it to the top there. So this is CLI gen. What else? Let's just clone this. Just clone. So the first thing we need to check is, after we run this the first time, it shouldn't generate any new file, because you would have to initialize before you can generate, right? So per apps, we comment out the part, so we can focus on that alone. So let's look at these. search with DB instance. Basically what this does is gets all the migrations, read the migrations from directory, gets all the migration files, and then checks the counts of both the one in the database and also within the directory, and run some assertion. Basically the assertion is to check, we can check here different stuff, checking that the base name, the extension, everything is correct. So if we go down here, search with DB instance 1, basically we can take something like this first. Let's do it a little bit manually first before we abstract anything, and here we go. So basically we're passing in that we want to assert that no migration is created, both in the database and also in the file directory. And what's the DB migration count? So yeah, it should be 0. None should have been created. And also for migration file count, it should be 0. Yep. So if we go down here, both of these should be 0, but we're going to run the test first and make sure it fails. CD migration test, cargo test. This time we're testing generate. We want to make sure that fails because no file should be generated. It has to tell you to initialize first. But that would be nice to check the log and make sure it's generating the right error. Let's wait for a while. Yep, as you can see, it tells us that's wrong because it has to be 0, right? You need to initialize first. That is what it's talking about there. So that's good. But after you then initialize, basically after you do this, you are so regardless, even if it's two-way, what other configuration might influence that? So yeah, we're saying it's reversible. Where are we specifying the reversible command? Oh, that's true. When you're generating, there's no reversible, right? But we might use that in init. So that's that. I can know you have to initialize first before you can start generating migration. If you haven't no new migrations should be created when running. Should be created, no new migration files, no metadata in the DB. This is how you initialize. Basically, what you do is you call init. You can specify if it's reversible or not. So let's say the first time it's reversible, then you need to run some assertions here. Sorry about that. So basically what that would look like is, let's just copy this. So when you run init, you run the migration this time. Let's steal from this. db init 1. So we can take db init 1. And we pass in the resources and all that. The migration file count the first time should be 0 also. Rather, it should actually be 2. So this is gonna be 2 because you're initializing and you're saying it's reversible. Let's see. Okay, now you're saying it's not reversible, so it should actually be 1. Yep. But since run is false, it should be migration count here should be 0 also. So let's run this and let's see what we get. $158. So this is saying it's expecting 1 but got 0. I'm guessing it's here. And it's init blah blah blah. $158. Yeah, but DB migration is meant to be 0. Isn't that? Yeah. That's what we are asserting. Let's cool this ROM up a little bit. Let's cool it down. Okay. So it's asserting that migration is gonna be 1 somewhere. That is absolutely weird. And be sure that's not a problem. I never knew it's true. So it's coming from the first part. Oh yeah, I see where it's coming from. That's because we're using what's outside. This should be 0. Have you seen my child? I'm searching for the word. No, this should be 1 actually. That's not the migration. And this should be 1. Yeah, that was right. Despacito. Okay. Are we telling it to run false? So why is it running that? There is a problem. There's actually a problem there. This is why it's really good to write tests. You start seeing problems everywhere. So basically this is saying the migration count apparently is 1, and this should be 0. Let's run the test again. Generating 2 files, and I'm expecting it to generate no file because we haven't yet initialized. We need to initialize first, and one thing we need to take care of just in case is just to be sure that it's not caching some stuff. Okay, we're still going to That is weird. I'm gonna change this to 2 and see. Oh, why am I doing this here? Why is that done? That's weird. We're only supposed to conditionally do this. Yep. It's oh yeah, so I don't have that guardrail anymore. I don't think so. I did, or okay. So here we go to generate now. This 158. Team migration. Now this is rightfully doing it because it's now we removed this stuff that was mistakenly added probably when I was debugging. That's one. The second is we still have this and we don't wanna, it should be 0 because we haven't initialized. But what I can imagine is that normally this is meant to panic, right? But it's not. And probably panic there. So there are two ideas that come to mind. It's either we're now defaulting when we're detecting. So first false true, true false. When it's false false or true true, return an error. So it should be either this or that, right? We get unidirectional or bidirectional. But both should be false. So we should be getting ambiguous whatever error. We should be getting ambiguity error, and we don't seem to be getting that. Type so if it's generating 2, let's log something here. Let's do and tonight. We were young, so I set the world on fire. We can go higher. There's carry me home tonight. Home tonight, tonight. We were young, so I set the world on fire. We can go higher. Let it love. Dum dum da da da. Yeah, you see, that's a problem because it's detecting that it's two-way, and that is an issue. File config. How about we check actually debug make type, because make type is coming from file config, right? And as you can see, yep, that is the problem. That is a problem. We're actually not even we're not setting it, which is a bigger problem. So we've got this make flag. What we should actually have is maybe this, because it needs to be set at some point. Is this useful for testing? Do I need to do it? Let's investigate. Otherwise it's gonna default to something. Am I even using this? If I'm not, and I should probably be using builder pattern there. Let's remove that. Am I using this? I should have probably used builder there also. Yep. Anyway, I love you anyway. I love you anyway. Yep, generate migration. Migration flag not set. So you can say migration flag not set. Migration flag not set. I think we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to do that. Can you just do? We can write this better. Save the migration flag. Yep. you do is true. So we can do, I mean, we can keep this, but rather than that, we can do something like this. Dun, 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 dun. We don't need that anymore. Would have been nice to use let else. This would have been the first time to use it, but whatever. Because what is sunshine? Because I just say flag or type. Don't you so in this case, if it's not set, we're gonna know that. Otherwise, that could slip in a bug, since it should actually it should be optional, or because we can only tell the type after the initialization. We cannot. Let me put it comment on there. Maybe this is optional because we cannot refer before initialization directory. Before init and after init after, yep. Yep, so now this is the right way to go. It's actually giving us none, which is a good thing. And as a matter of fact, we might wanna make that inaccessible outside of this file, because we want to be able to do something like detect if she took my breath away. Can I be with me? Although that should have done the work. Let's see. Because let's see. Anyway, make type. Let's run that again. Tell me I'm so pretty now here. No way, no way. Tell me how you gonna do without me. If you ain't here, I just can't breathe. No way, no way. No way. No, 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 no. No way. No. Been going for about 2 hours. Mic type says two-way, but it should actually be an error. It should be an error, except we're missing something. So yeah, we generate first. Once we generate, we do the runtime config. The CLI for generate and the runtime config. I mean, the only way we can maybe check that is, let's say, files. Files migration. And now that I actually think about it, this is something I can also do for the other one. If I'm not using the glob, I can just basically read all the content and just search them, read them, and just snapshot them. But first, before anything, let's check. Let's debug make files. All I have is you, 'cause there ain't nowhere else I'd rather be. I'd rather be. I don't believe in her. Yeah, the migration files are empty. So where is that getting to from? Where is it getting to from? Oh, I mean that's a different thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's run it there. Because we're not allowing it to read. Feel so holy. da 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 da. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, it's empty. So. Oh, actually, that doesn't make sense. I should be doing this after. I should be doing this. Yeah. Yep. So it's actually generating two files up and down. That is sick. Because we don't want that. So there's definitely something wrong with this detection now, which we need to investigate. Basically, it means it's not empty. Yep. Let's see. Because it's generating, apparently it's generating two files. That's weird. It shouldn't. And that's because we're detecting as two-way, which we shouldn't. And which means before we run generate somewhere, somehow it's creating up and down migration, and that is absolutely not what we want. So I need to figure out where and why. Okay. Oh, I think I see. What? So when we're getting file names, oh my god, it's using the defaults, I think. Is it? It looks like it's using the default migration path, so it's basically getting it from the local directory. Wow. 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 I'm pretty confident that's what's happening. Oh my god. And let's see why that is the case. The case is that because but we're actually passing migration directory. Yep. Yeah, and that's why it's creating, but that's not where it's resolving. It looks to be resolving it from the default, so that has to be figured out. That has to be figured out. Yeah, there is a checks directory. Read paths of that. Okay, that's default. Check the custom path first. We're setting the custom path here, so it's happening. It's getting the migration files from local directory, so I'm trying to figure out why, because it should be getting from our temp directory. So if you see from the previous, let's go up a little bit, you see new one on refreshed, another fresh new. If you go, I believe, here, you're gonna see it's actually getting those from here. Meanwhile, it should be getting from our custom directory, and that's what I need to figure out. Yeah, that was the stuff. I think that was what got a lot of people scared about Sublime Text. You're getting me nostalgic. Max. I got a little bit scared. Does anyone really use Sublime Text nowadays? And it was actually quite good. I mean, it was quite good, but I think they could have probably had a better financing model, monetizing model. Did you copy that out from somewhere, or did you just have that off the top of your head? Oh my god. The custom path is this. Yeah, that looks good. That looks like what we should be getting. One more thing I'm gonna check is I'm gonna do resolve directory. resolve directory, and let's see what that resolves to. Let's call that false, so it shouldn't create. I've used JetBeans and yeah, JetBeans was what was. Now I use VS Code. That's cool. I was trying to record JetBeans the other time. I used JetBeans like, I don't know, 7 years ago. I used Eclipse also. Eclipse and IntelliJ at one of my previous jobs. VS Code is actually quite good. It's packed with a lot of features. Have you tried Neovim, Shona? And thanks for joining the stream. We've got Okmax, we've got Shona, and I use Notepad. Yeah, I think Notepad is quite good, isn't it? The last time I used Notepad was maybe 6 years ago. Things are actually quite good nowadays. Like we're spoiled with options, isn't it? Where are you chatting from? And thanks for joining in this stream. How did you find the channel? Let's see what we've got here. Resolve. Am I logging that actually? Yeah, I am. Resolve migration directory. Yeah, it's resolving properly. That's weird. It's actually resolving correctly. So let's check the detection again. Let's look at these bidirectional. Basically, getting from the file names. Adam, California. Oh, that's cool. It gets updated every month. So, like, could you use it to develop properly? What's the best language it can be used for? Oh, my stream was recommended by YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. Thanks for bringing Shona into the stream or onto the stream. Namaste. Thanks. I'm actually looking to like visit California. I think it will be cool. But I'm gonna be in the West Coast next month. I'm gonna be around Seattle, Oregon, and stuff. It's quite close, right? Perhaps I could just check out California. You don't know Rust, so what language do you use? What language? Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah, Python is pretty cool. Python was one of my first languages. Yeah, I started with Python, Java, and R. Python, Java, R. Those were like my first trial, and MATLAB. Python, R, Java, and MATLAB were my first four. But officially, the first language I ever wrote a proper program, a proper like algorithm in was Fortran. But that was a long time ago, and I wrote that on the text on a piece of paper. Yeah. Let's look at the file names. Python is your last language. Why did you say that? Are you retiring already? Python is your last language. What do you like so much about Python? And I've mainly done data science and development with Python. Worked with Django, worked with Tornado, worked with Flask, and worked with SQL Alchemy, Alembic, and all those things. Poetry. Then what else? Then I did some data science work when I was in school, and some mapping stuff too with Python. It was fun. My day job is software, and but more so these days I am focusing more on like this project that I'm working on. I have some other projects that I'm working on outside of this. But yeah, I've been working mostly as a software engineer, full stack infrastructure. So what I've been doing in the last over half a decade, I started out doing data science, machine learning stuff, and mapping stuff. So I did a lot of stuff with like different modeling stuff, Keras, scikit-learn, Sysbon, and a lot of plotting when I was in school. Also, I was teaching there. Then after that, I started doing development, full stack, front end, back end. I started out at my first job. Then I was doing Java, Ruby. I did Java, I did Ruby, I did Golang, I did a little bit of Elixir. I did Python and TypeScript. I was also doing front end work. So I I worked with different testing framework and Mobex, Redux, the standard stuff with React and hooks and all that. Then subsequently I did more like full stack again. Did Python, TypeScript, React, and all the like data visualization, D3, and other stuff, custom data visualization. Then on the back end, I did Python again, and after that, I did like infrastructure work. So writing out our cloud development kits, creating some reusable libraries for us, and also building out our infrastructure work. So mostly that was in TypeScript, also in Python, and of course like all other tools that come with it, CDK, ATES. I worked with Pulumi, CDK. So I was doing a lot of infrastructure work, AWS, Kubernetes. I also standardizing our workload, moving them from different ways we were deploying to mainly Kubernetes, and worked with a lot of tools like Argo CD, Flux, Cilium, Linkerd. I worked with Istio, just the standard tools. So that's what I've been doing. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's just like something that I'm passionate about, and that's why I'm looking to build more stuff that other people can find useful. Um, Thanks, Max. I appreciate it. So yeah, I'm trying to bring my experience together as a data scientist, as someone experiencing like mapping, remote sensing, and just working with space data, spatial data, with software engineering, trying to bring them together and create tools around them, and also software. I have a lot of ideas and things I'm trying to create, and that's why I'm also creating all these developer tools to make my life very easy. Easy to read it, Shona. Easy to read it. Easy to develop in it. No semicolon. No compiling. I program as a hobby. I started in the 70s. Wow. I hadn't been born in the 70s. Basic Fortran, COBOL, Pascal, C, assembly. It didn't. I didn't like C++. Didn't like for. Wow, that's. Woof. Now I understand. I understand why you said Python is your last language. You worked with a lot Do you feel burnt out from working with all these languages? How was it like working with them? That sounds like a very long experience. Maybe you should come on my channel and give me some history of you working with these languages. Let's do a mini interview. I should start posting normal videos also and tutorials. But I'm writing books and I'm also creating a course. So I'm excited about that actually. Thanks, Orkmax. We have Orkmax. We have Shona in the building. And earlier we had Andrews Thompson. I'm not sure if he's still on. We had Phoenix. We have Shaif Ol Ganteng. And we have YouTuber. I appreciate you guys for joining my dark stream. So let's look at the file names. So as you can see, it's actually getting the local file names. So there's definitely something wrong somewhere. So we're resolving the migration directory here. What about what if we log this? Yeah, let's do that. And what else could we log here? Let's just take a reference to this. What Shona, why don't you like give a shot like just give like even TypeScript a shot, or Java, or any like type language? Because for me also, when I was writing Python, I was doing a lot of Python. My master's thesis was written in Python. I was working with Python a lot. I liked it. I worked with JavaScript also quite a bit, but once I started working more with like typed languages, TypeScript, Java, and Rust, it's very hard for me to go back to Python now. And I know that Python has type now. I've used that. I used that at my previous job and in some personal projects, but I pretty much just use Rust. And I can show you something. I was working on some TypeScript projects. Let me see if I've still got it. I was working on this project for a long time. It's quite a big project, and this was what actually birthed a lot of things I'm working on. As you can see, this was written in TypeScript. A large part of it is written in Rust, but it was also written in TypeScript. But I'm moving everything to TypeScript, and I can show you some nice stuff. I wanted to publish this as a library. So if you go there, a bunch of scripts here. You go to the source. You have stuff for infrastructure. You go to infrastructure, you see Argo event, Argo rollout, Argo workflow, Argo CD, cert manager, and anything you can imagine. You want to handle events, you got something. You want to handle rollouts, you've got something. You want to do normal workflows for different use cases. I actually created some stuff for like my custom CI/CD, but I'm moving that to Git, because Git is like GitHub, but you can self-host that. And I like the fact that they are also using GitHub API. So when you want to set up your webhook, you can easily migrate from GitHub, because they're essentially using the same API. They're just reverse engineering it to do that. Cert manager, and I implemented auto rotation of cert manager. So I created some automation to auto bootstrap your certificates, and it does the auto rotation. Then Cilium also for your policies, and also it's also used as you can use it in place of Linkerd in some cases. They have like different architecture. Linkerd uses like sidecar proxy to undo, and that's actually good. You can get some nice metrics out of that automatically. You get mutual TLS rather, Git for GitHub. Arbor, you can use it to host your images and stuff, but Git does some of those also. Ingress, of course, for your reverse proxy. Linkerd also for I just described Linkerd now. Basically, it's what's the terminology for it? Distributed. It does some distributed tracing also, but that's not the primary stuff. But basically, you have sidecar proxies, you get mutual TLS, and all those things. then long gun for your block storage, metal B for handling load balancing. Then for monitoring, you have anything you can imagine. You have NAT for doing your bus, or what's it called? Not message queue, but something like Kinesis or Kafka. But this is written in Go. Secret for handling your sales secrets. I wrote some stuff. This is for your object storage. This is your distributed database with ACID compliance, and Velero is for like migrating your data. It's good when you're doing disaster recovery. So I have a bunch of stuff that I implemented here. So for you to bootstrap cluster, but now I'm migrating. The beauty of this is I might publish this in TypeScript, but I'm now migrating all this to Rust. So I'm creating the CDK library in Rust. As you can see, okay, these are still the main stuff are in utils, yeah, like in cube object with got stuff. So you have your custom resource definitions. I have command for switching clusters and doing other stuff. Then syncing with your local host, setting up your cluster, and also handling secrets locally. So it's just a bunch of interesting. I came up with some convention for this. So this cube object, this for handling your sales secrets. So you can see this. I'm moving all this stuff to Rust now. I'm quite excited about that because I think it's gonna be cool. Because when I go back to this, I'm not confident this is gonna build anymore. That's what I don't like about TypeScript or languages that they should type into. You're not confident. So yeah, you see we've got Grafana, you've got Loki, you've got Promptail, you've got Tempo, Tenos. So basically this is for Grafana is quite popular. You can use it to, you can integrate basically all this other stuff with Grafana and have your nice dashboard. And you get distributed tracing from like Tempo, and just anything you can imagine. Java, I forgot about Java. I tried to use it, but Python was more my style. I hear that people are leaving TypeScript, or that TypeScript is being replaced by something newer. Oh, that's interesting. What are people going towards? Maybe Rust. I think people are moving towards TypeScript, not away. Python has two issues for me. The type is getting a little bit better. Then also the virtual machine, the interpreter. Then the tooling. I've worked with Conda, I've worked with Pip, I've worked with Poetry. There's one in Rust now. I keep forgetting the name. But NPM has its flaws. But there's PNPM, which is much better. There is Yarn, but Python is really difficult to do package management in Python. It's really difficult. Then you need to set up your pipe env, and you need to do all this other stuff. It's frustrating. And I never really enjoyed the developer experience of Python, but I still enjoyed working with it. File names, it's actually resolving the migration directory correct, or am I missing something? Migration dir path, where is that? Maybe Rust. Yeah, Rust is actually quite popular now. I mix my window apps, so Python gets it done. Oh, cool. So what library do you use in Python to make your Windows app? Aren't we logging this? I thought we were. Yeah. Oh, you don't do web programming, okay. Oh, Matplotlib, NumPy. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I was using Matplotlib, and there's also Cbones. I was using Cbones also quite a bit then, and NumPy. I was like 5 6 years ago. I showed that live on stream yesterday. That was my master's thesis. So that was, what was it? MSc. We go to my repository. Yep. You go, yeah, you see pandas, Matplotlib, GeoPandas, SciPy, Cbone. You know, I was using all these things then. Ether tools and stuff, and Rasterio and all this stuff for doing some mapping work. It was quite cool. It's fun. So this returns, it's actually returning the right path, surprisingly. That is so, wow, that's so interesting. Oh, look at this. It's pointing to the local directory. Damn. We need to figure out why. I found the bug. We need to figure it out. I was gonna say absolute or relative path. Yeah, probably that. I use Python for graphics. That's cool. Yeah, if you're gonna be doing project with large complexity, like Python is gonna be really frustrating because you're not gonna know when something is breaking. It's just gonna be like breaking sporadically. So this, we need to actually figure out why resolve. So again, this cargo terminal, the directory, and the default path. Yeah, we check the custom path. So what I can imagine, I know what's happening now. I know what's happening. I know what's happening. What's happening? Like if we do this, it's gonna change. This is gonna fix it. That is so crazy. This is gonna fix it. I know what's happening, and I'm gonna explain. That's a nasty bug, and this is why writing tests for especially libraries is like critical. I know why this is failing 100% now. This is gonna work now. I mean, the test may not pass, but I know why it's failing now. But it's gonna do the right thing, and I'm gonna explain. I can actually explain it already. So what you're gonna notice is they resolve whatever happens here, and we check. We use the custom path, or we default to we default to the default, which is like migration directory. That's what we do. So we either use the custom path or the migration directory, and we are calling this the detect migration type method first before we actually set the type. So here it's gonna be migrations, but after this is gonna be our custom path, and that's why that changes it. So obviously I need to change this. I need to fix this. This is gonna bite me down the lane if I don't fix it now. A new Python version can break older version. Yeah. Oh, that was. Tell me about it. When I was using Python, I ran into that issue a lot because I was also teaching Python in school then. I was like 5-6 years ago. I was teaching and I was working with Python a lot. I would work with a project now, come back a few months, and everything is broken. I have to like start picking up the pieces from ground up all over again. It was really frustrating to do. Yeah, it's fixed. But we're gonna have to. This is so. But this was interesting bug to chase. I like chasing bugs. It's more fun to me when I run into issues like this than when everything is going smoothly. But we found that bug and now our test should pass. So the problem was we were detecting based on the local directory which already had migration files, right? And we need to rethink how we are setting the custom path. We need to make it in such a way that we have to enforce that the custom path is initialized before you can even do anything. It has to be set, and probably it should be set up by the CLI, basically at the top level, and not by individual command. I reckon that would be the way to go. So now let's check this. This should now be 0. Our test surely should pass now. I was gonna say, but Python is still like, it's good for if you're doing like something simple. They change the compiler that make the Python, so I have to recompile any POID files I made previously so I can import into the new Python. Yeah, I heard it's gonna be like much faster now and all that. Oh, we're panicking somewhere. Generate like 69. Okay. 969. Yep. What was the error? Unable to detect type. Yep, that's the right thing. But rather than panicking, should panicking be the right way, or we just return? So you have to, yeah. It's always painful to come back to dynamically typed languages. Especially those that try to add build tools and types to it. When I go to my JavaScript projects that are like 6 years ago, they still run well. No, like they run butter smooth, no issues. But if I go to my TypeScript project that is just like 2 months ago, I have to panic because something is gonna break. And same with Python. I feel the same with Python. Ruby, once you start introducing like libraries, build tools, package managers, those languages are highly like fragile. Yep. So we found out we fixed that, and this is gonna force me to do a little bit of refactoring. So first, we did one already, and regarding how we set the migration flag. Refactor and fix generation flag detection. Yep, I need to fix this. I think the migration directory should be set at the top level. Absolutely should. And since we are already sharing all this configuration, I'm gonna tell you guys what I mean now. So if you go to let's close everything else. Let's go to init. I updated Python for the speed increase. My program are very simple procedure code projects. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Python is very good for things like that. But I feel like when you start working with Rust, even like when you need to do those simple stuff, it's actually not that hard as you may think. Because you don't need to do like you don't need to use atomic reference counting and phantom data and do some crazy asynchronous stuff. You could just write the basic synchronous code that does like you and clone everywhere, and you're still gonna get something more efficient than Python, and actually not that bad to write or read, not read rather. Wow. Yeah, it's called Vim. Vim. That's like an extension. Vim Motion. So what I was trying to talk about in the 80s. Wow. Python had not been created. So what I meant in that way was we could actually take these two, right? We could take these two and take them like top level to CLI. So that would be here. We could actually stick this in here because it's used everywhere anyway. So we could do something. Let's do a short experiment, as I always like to do. So we could do pam 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 pam. Python. It's never too late. Yeah, so as you can already see, if we do this at the top level, this would ensure that we set those things right off the bat. Like the custom path is gonna ensure that we either set it or not from the beginning. So I'm contemplating this little experiment. No one, no one, no one, no one, no one can get away with me. Give Rust a shot, Shona, and see if you're gonna like it. Have you tried? I know some people search to find. So now, if we do it this way, yeah, the beauty of this is now we'll be forced to set this at the top level. Of course, we can make it work the way it is currently. And you know what? I want to see how it's gonna look from the CLI first before we commit fully. I want to see if I'm gonna be happy with how it looks. So let's go to init. Let's revert that, and let's do clear cargo run up 16 kilobytes of RAM. That must isn't that crazy? I remember like this wasn't even a long time ago when I had my Nokia, and they had probably less than 8 megabytes of memory, and it was a big deal then, you know. It's crazy how fast the world is moving. 4K ROM. Yes. That must have been really interesting. Having just 4K. Times are changing. Times are changing. Oh, see, the times has changed. I thought you knew that these words would never ever wait for you. So, as you can see, what we're getting here. What if I introduce a new command just to get a feel of what that might look like? Let's go back to mod. Let's introduce a new subcommand, even if we don't use it. Let's call it test. New stuff. New? Let's call it. Let's call it trial. Maybe Shona, perhaps we can arrange a session on my channel and discuss the history of programming and your experience with working with all these old languages. Another nice implication of doing the putting that at the top level is that it will be easier to handle all this. We don't have to go through everything, but I mean we can always do that also if we want to, if we don't want to make changes to the code as much. So I'll just run this experiment real quick. Oh, something is brewing here. Yeah. Oh no. I never thought love could do to her. Yes, Mawad Yusufi. I'm programming Rust. Have you heard about it before? So this is what it's gonna look like. So what if we do cargo? Have you worked with Rust before? How are you doing today? Where are you chatting from? Trial. You're the one I wanna dance away. I'm trying to see if it's gonna inherit from it, cause when you like do like cargo subcommand help, I would like it to show you all the configuration possible, even from the top level. That's what I want to make sure of, because I think that would be a superior dev experience, because you don't want to have to go do top level cargo help, then do subcommand cargo help, even though it inherits from the first. No, not Rust the game, but Rust the programming language. Rust the game. The people always confuse that for Rust. Oh, yep. Yep, yep. I should have known. I should have known. Yeah. 28. Let's see. If that's gonna be the case, I would leave the status quo, because I think it's nice to be able to see everything that you can pass to a subcommand. Or maybe I need to pass an additional flag to pass it down. Now it's getting dark. We're back to our usual stuff. Woo! It's nicer when it's darker. Let's turn off the fan a little bit. Dark days are here. So if it's not gonna do that, then I would stick to the status quo and we just try to make it work. We would probably because I think it's nice to actually set all these things, because to set it from the CLI new, but that's not a big deal. We can we definitely can. Yep, it looks, am I missing something? Cargo trial. What? Oh, I skipped that, so maybe I shouldn't. Do it. Do something. And clap. And make it clap. Pop, 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 pop. It's running. How many hours have we been on today? 3 hours. I would like us to go back to the 8-hour stream, 10 hours, 11 hours. But I've just recovered from my flu, and I'm slowly recovering also from gym stuff. I'm getting up to speed with gym also, so it's looking good. I'm gonna be really happy once we're done with all these tests. Then I know that at least this project is solid, because it is battle tested. When I start adding support for other database engine or refactoring and stuff, it's gonna be a lot. Vim improved. V improved. New Vim. Thank you for the correction, YouTuber. Yeah, the motion is obviously like navigating around. Yeah, as you can see, this is not showing us the top level command, and I don't like that because when you do like cargo run whatever and it doesn't tell you what other stuff you could pass, I think that's a suboptimal user experience, which means I'm gonna stick to the status quo and just delegate and still allow the children to override whenever possible. Although I don't think it's a good thing for the children to be able to override things like the custom path. But anyway, we're gonna make it work. And this is what we're gonna do. Unleash the dragon. Yeah. Yeah. Unleash the dragon. Yeah. Did it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna make me unleash the dragon. Yeah, no. Yeah. I think things like migration there and verbosity should be set at top level for sure. And things like username, password, those shouldn't have to be done at the yep. So you know what? Well, even though this isn't obviously optimal, sometimes in our life, be a lead me where you're strong. I'll be your shade. I help you carry on. I love you. Someone to lean on. Oh, please, that is right. I'll be your shade. I'll help you carry on. To lean we need someone to lean on. We need someone to lean on. Oh, please, swallow and I hope you carry on. Someone to lean on. Yep, I'm gonna fix this and maybe take a little break. Thanks to everyone that joined in today. I appreciate you guys. Um, I'll still try to fix this before I call it a day. I'll call it setup. Set up. Just setup. And no, maybe we don't need that anymore. We're gonna do setup. And setup is gonna include things like, well, match the command. I mean, everything could have their own setup, but what I probably should do instead is take init, not necessarily setup, but why am I calling this grid and so create basically. I think I can probably consolidate a lot of things here. I can do create and set up connection. I can also delegate all those stuff. So I can do, you know what, I'm gonna go here and set runtime config. So it's gonna be a little bit cumbersome, but I'm actually curious if it's possible to transfer try to set up set runtime config set shared config. I think this is gonna be cumbersome. Let's just do This, I should have stashed that experiment. Wow, why didn't I do that? But anyway, we can redo it. So let's rerun the experiment. Let's do trial. Yeah, I think the subsequent one should be much straightforward anyway. So let's do the difficult work first. At least now things are passing, and I think having this test will just be so nice, and it's gonna make us more confident about what we're building. Method and all allows for flat re-entry. For flat tree. What's the name of this library? Clap, right? Let's go. Let's search clap. Search global. Okay. Okay, that's called ag. From global. Oh, I see. So you have to specify it in the other side also. Hmm. It's weird. I think I'm gonna have to take a break here and check this, like passing down passing down the global commands, and I'd like to do that today and just chill. Um, I wish they would demo the struct version more. Okay, I'll have to continue later. I love you guys for joining. Thanks to you guys for joining. What we're trying to do now is set the config at the global level and pass them to subcommands. That's what I'm gonna try to do, but I feel a little bit tired, and I'm gonna take some rest, and we can continue from there. I love you guys. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you guys for always joining, and we have a lot more coming. Be careful, be cheerful, be wonderful, be be a code breeder. We're code breeders. Merry Christmas in advance, and I'm hoping to be back soon. Maybe grab something to eat, stretch a little bit, and just take a little break. Then I'll start a new stream. Maybe try to figure that out before the stream or when I come back on the stream. But thanks, guys, and I'm gonna see you soon.